Hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to today's Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. This is our live weekly webcast on how we are connected and the way we get around. I am Ryan Girardi, your host, and thank you for joining us. Today is Wednesday, March 17th. Happy Hump Day. Oh, and happy St. Patty's Day, too. Of course, I'm not drinking yet on the show. We used to do that, but not today. But I'm sporting my good old Kelly Green Eagles. Go Eagles. And happy St. Patty's Day to you folks. Today on the show, we are going to be talking about blockchain and cryptos and NFTs, if you're familiar with those, and the future of car buying. I've got Lori Di Pasquale from TitleKeyCash coming on. She'll be on here in just a few moments. We're going to talk about her website and her business a little bit. And then at the bottom of the hour, we have our Auto Marketing Pros discussion panel that we do every week. This week, we're focused on fixed operations and the used car business. And the whole purpose of me bringing industry insiders up here, folks, is so that you can get an inside look at the business, because it's all about education and about transparency these days. And one thing you'll hear talked about often on this show is the consumer centric experience. So that'll be happening at the bottom, starting at the bottom of the hour. I have, excuse me, I have Bill Anderson coming on from Vehicle Acquisition Network, good friend of mine, and also Ed Roberts, who you've seen here every few weeks from Bozard Ford Lincoln in Florida. Now you see on my screen, this is our, what I call the blog spread. We put this together usually a few days prior to each show, and you get a feel for who's going to be on and what the agenda is and what the discussion panels are going to be. So I'm going to walk you through that real quick. I'll get into the whole NFT blockchain thing in a little bit. But what I want to do is scroll down here. You see we've got the live stream embedded. And why am I showing you this? Well, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and you can have the show sent to you by YouTube automatically. You can also subscribe to autoconverse.com, and then you'll get this nice email prior to the show. And you can see what we have lined up for today. Ford is using blockchain technology to improve air quality, urban air quality. SpaceX is making moves to make Starlink available for trucks, boats, and aircraft. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to show you a new autonomous, artificial intelligence autonomous vessel called the Mayflower that is happening later this month. And you know what? Before I forget, folks, get out your phones if you haven't already and text the keyword autoconverse to 64600. And you can have this show sent to your phone every week. You can set a reminder and you can watch it live. You can watch the recording. It's totally up to you. And just a heads up, we're changing the phone number soon. We're going to get away from the 646 short code, and it is soon going to be a 10-digit number. So that is actually happening too. So what I wanted to focus on today, and you can see it in the article here, uh, just last week, there was a digital piece of artwork sold for $69.3 million at Christie's auction. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if you can imagine. I can't even imagine paying $70 million for anything. That's just me, let alone something digital. I mean, this literally was a JPEG file. And this is a first of a kind. And the NFT, which stands for non-fungible token, I'm going to talk about that, was sold by the artist Beeple. Beeple is the artist's name. His full name is Mike Winkleman. And curiously, prior to this sale, the most he'd ever sold a digital print for was $100. But over the last few months, some magical things have happened. And this isn't the first digital piece he sold at a high price, but it is the third highest price for any piece of artwork ever sold for artwork from someone that was still living. And of course, it is the most highest price, I should say, of anything sold, any NFT sold ever. So what are non-fungible tokens? Well, they're, if you haven't heard of them yet, I actually am pretty new to the idea of NFTs. I'm sure we've all heard of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So kind of on that lines, but basically NFTs are a way for people to monetize, a way for you to monetize digital assets. So think of a music file, think of a video, or in this case, a JPEG. In fact, I think what's his face, Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, is selling his first tweet for like $1.5 million as an NFT. And basically, it uses a blockchain technology to authentically or prove authenticity of ownership. So if I buy this, whoever the person who bought this digital NFT for $69 million, it's his now. He owns it. It's not even the artist anymore. He can do whatever he wants to it. He can destroy it. He can sell it. He can showcase it. He can do whatever he wants. It's rightfully his. So it's basically the equivalent of buying a painting, but in this case, it's digital. Now, some people say this is going to make the elite art business more inclusive, which is probably true. But here's why I bring this up. NFTs would not be possible if it weren't for blockchain technology. And blockchain is a tough concept. It has taken me a long time to really get my head wrapped around what blockchain is. I'm not going to get into blockchain, but in detail here, but it's a technology that's akin to just say an accounting ledger that allows for a currency such as Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency, to exist and to be transferred in the actual cash value of the currency can be transferred. Now, we brought this up, I think just 2 weeks ago on the show, that Tesla had purchased $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they came out announcing that they believe that it's here to stay, which I do too. And the whole purpose of buying the Bitcoin is because Elon intends to make Teslas purchasable with Bitcoin. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a game changer. Being able to buy cars with a whole new currency, that's pretty awesome. So that's why blockchain is relevant. You're going to hear blockchain if you haven't already. It's going to be a pretty consistent part of conversations in automotive and mobility in all industries, if you will. Now, I bring it up for two reasons. A, what it means to the industry, but also B, we need to take a look at the environment. Blockchain technology takes a tremendous toll on the environment. And so we have a big push right now in the auto industry to get combustion engine vehicles off the market. I mean, we've been talking about this for months. You've got Europe. Most European countries aren't going to permit CE engines being sold past 2030, some past 2035. China's even getting in the ring. They're going to start eliminating combustion engine vehicles, but not as early as 2030. But I mean, look, 2030, 2035, that's 10, 15 years away. This is really happening. Well, why is there a big push for EVs? And it's because of the environments, because of warm house gases, because of climate change, all that. That's the big push for it. But the reality is, it still takes energy to drive to run an EV. So energy still has to come from somewhere. The same thing with blockchain technology. These are groundbreaking technologies that are here to stay, and they do take a toll on the environment. And we need to keep our eye on the ball. We need to keep our eye on the ball, because there's one thing we've seen in this country, across the globe in the past year, is that corporations they're in it for profit, and the corporations of the future also need to be in consideration for things like the environment and how that affects society. So that's why we bring that up, and I look forward to making that part of the conversation today. Laura, I want to prompt you to go ahead and get ready. Last week on the show, we were talking about surveillance capitalism and how the predictive nature of human beings is monetized beyond advertising, monetized for profit beyond advertising. So again, today we want to draw a parallel between the environmental costs of blockchain and EVs, and how that might also affect things in the world. Now, I'm going to pause for a quick break because I went a little bit over time, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have Lori on in just a moment. So if you want to take charge of your car buying experience and be crazy confident in what you do, then stay tuned for my conversation with Lori DePasquale. We'll be right back. Hey, we got a good show lined up for you today.
Oh, well, I'm a Game of Thrones nut, so that's my jam.
The robots are listening. The robots are listening.
All right, there she is, everybody. Lori, hello, and welcome to the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. How we doing today?
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. We do this in the evenings now. We used to do it during the day, and it's a whole different change doing this in the evening. So I do appreciate you taking time to out of your evening to be here and be with us. It's great to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks.
So I'm going to bring up your site a little bit while we're talking, but I'd love for maybe you to give us the good old fashioned elevator pitch of TitleKeyCash. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the site as well.
So, I basically help people find a purchase plan. So, whether that's knowing the right price they should be paying for the vehicle, having a budget, what car they should be buying for their lifestyle, having their financing in place, all of that helps them confidently purchase a car. They have all the aspects, checked off before they even go in to make a deal. So that's kind of my gist. I just want everybody to know all the facts before they go in shopping.
Fair enough. And I see it says a girl's guide to car buying, but you're saying everybody. So you're not limiting your services to women.
No, I mean, I primarily help women purchase cars because they just dread the process. So, but I do help men as well.
Okay. So why don't you define, I mean, it might be kind of obvious. What do you mean by a crazy confident car buyer?
So I just feel like if you know exactly what your finance rate is going to be, exactly what kind of car is going to work for you, instead of being sold into something that you don't want. If you know exactly how much you should be spending a month, as well as exactly how much you should be spending on the vehicle total, then you can be totally confident about what you're buying instead of leaving and saying, what just happened? Did I even get a deal? What did I pay? What happened? Because that's usually how it goes. Once you get in there and you're in there for all those hours, you lose concept of the numbers and everything that's taking place.
Now I see on the site, you see me clicking around.
Mhm.
You have to, if somebody wants your cheat sheet, then they just need to fill out their name and email and you'll send them the cheat sheet.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Can you walk us through what might be on that cheat sheet?
So the car buying cheat sheet has like a little income and expense category. Your top picks, do a little research on what you want out of the vehicle, what you want to spend, your budget, how much of a monthly payment are you comfortable making, and like the warranty. I usually primarily deal with used cars. So I want them to know what's left on the warranty, things like that. So they have everything on one page.
So you got income and expense, the budget, meaning their total price they're willing to pay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Monthly payment, interest rate. I'm just trying to keep track of all the things that need to be considered because it is a lot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a lot of pieces all bundled together. So that's why I try to tell them to separate each transaction and treat them separately instead of just, having them put it all together and then you don't know what's what.
Now, how long have you been providing this type of service?
So it's been about 7-8 years I've been doing this. So I do one-on-one clients too, where I find them vehicles and sell them for like a wholesale price, and they just pay me a fee.
Okay. So is that a negotiable fee or you have a set
No,
fee?
it's just a flat fee.
Okay. And that's a lifetime fee or just for probably that transaction?
Yeah, just that transaction.
Okay. Now, so I come to your site and I fill out a form to get your cheat sheet. What happens next after I do that?
Then
Do you
hopefully,
call me? Do I get a bunch of emails?
no, you'll get like a monthly blog post newsletter. So whatever I worked on that month, whatever topics, you'll get that. Um, so you can come back and visit and get helpful tips and things like that so that, you can keep learning about your car purchase.
And is your dialogue with your clients, is it usually on the phone? Is it a personal, like, are they getting to know you personally, or is it all just kind of distant remotely via email and text?
Well, this whole digital process is fairly new to my business. It's always been one to one where I'm dealing with the client on the phone, face to face. So this whole new project is still in the works.
So you're saying digital's changed the way you do things over the past few years?
Yeah,
Not specific to like the pandemic. You're saying digital technologies evolved so rapidly that it's altered your process.
both. I think both. I think the virus really kicked it off even more so because I want to be able to help more people in more places, and I can't do that with everyone. So over the years of learning everything, I package that into a course. So it's a step-by-step process with worksheets. I go over everything, I show examples, I have resources on there. They can join my Facebook group, ask questions, things like that.
Okay, so you have a Facebook group.
Hmm.
What would you say what if I run into your site and start engaging with you and decide I want you to help me buy a car? How long is that? How long you have I guess a dialogue with that buyer? Is it just until they get that car and then you typically never hear from them, or is it more ongoing?
Um, they're usually repeat business, referrals. Um, but yeah, it's primarily it could take 1 month, it could be 3 months, depending on what they're looking for, how hard it is to find.
Right, because everyone's at a different pace, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into how you match up a car. How you have them do the cheat sheet. That gives you kind of a financial outlook on um, maybe what class of cars we're looking at,
Right.
and you probably have a way to match up their cars or what's going to match for them. So then, what's the next step? Do you start reaching out to dealers? Do you have wholesale resources?
So then I tell them to get their financing in order, see what they're approved for, get all that set before you start looking because there's makes no sense to look for something that you can't afford. So I make sure that they know what they want to spend. They figure out what car it is, one or two maybe that they really want. And then I tell them to get their financing in place. And then after that, it's just you know, finding the right one that works and then close the deal.
Okay, and so just going back, you're liaisoning with like a car dealer then? You're
Well,
finding
yeah, we have our dealer license.
Okay, so you might even buy a car. Would you buy a car from a wholesale?
Yeah, I buy them at the auction.
Okay, so you're not going to a
No,
dealer. You are okay. You are the dealer in this case.
yeah.
You're just okay. That's what I was trying to get at. I wanted to be real specific. See, it's obvious to you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very obvious to you, and someone like myself and like Ed and Bill who are going to be up here in a little bit. We're all in the business, so we all think of the industry differently from your average consumer. So that's good to know. So you are the dealer. You're going to buy the car for them at auction. Do you source your cars anywhere else or only from dealer auctions?
Sometimes we get trades, things like that. If there's something that they really want to buy from a dealer, I will call on their behalf, get all the information, help them through it, and then send them to the dealer.
And are you using digital auctions too? Or
Well, I just go to Mannheim. So the main auction, but nothing's really open now, so everything's online.
Right. So you've
Yeah.
kind of resorted to digital auctions. What would you say? Excuse me, sorry, because we're going to get into this at the bottom of the hour, folks. We got a discussion panel lined up with our auto pros, and Lori's going to be with us. So we're going to get more into this. But what are you seeing right now at the auctions? Are you struggling to find the vehicles that you need, or are they plentiful?
No, it's pretty difficult. So I'm usually looking for, a one owner, maybe two owner, clean Carfax, moderate mileage. Everyone's price point is not big. Everyone's in kind of the same niche budget, but I'm bidding against everybody else who wants that car, all the dealers who want to put it on the lot. So sometimes I just have to let them go because it's just over their budget.
So you don't get involved in financing. You help them get their financing in line so they can go get pre-approval. You're
Yeah, just
helping.
the monthly payment, the total purchase price, don't drag out your loan for 84 months.
Mhm.
The more you're paying in interest, especially if it's an older car, you're now paying for a car that's, you've been driving for 5 years and you're upside down.
You have on your site, I think it's called the purchase plan. That's separate from your cheat sheet?
Yeah. So the purchase plan is a paid course, which has
Gotcha.
everything in it. We'll go through your loan to value ratio, um, car insurance, DTI, your debt to income, um, your test drives, your vehicle picks, how to find the accurate values so that everything that you need is all separated. You know exactly what you need to spend. And you walk in, you have everything in order. And then this way you don't start buying things you don't need, spending too much money, dragging out your financing and things like that. So it breaks it all down into bite-sized pieces.
And how long is the course? Is this like a multi-hour course or a multi-day
No, it's
course?
probably like 40 minutes, but if you stop to do the paperwork, and fill out all the numbers and take your time and do the research on what vehicle you're looking to purchase, um, it's could take each person a different time depending on how much effort they put into it, how long, when they're looking to buy a car, it depends on that. So
Okay. All right, that makes sense. So we have about 5 minutes here, Lori, and I want to maybe change the tune a little bit because I think we got a good feel for the service that you're providing. But I would imagine there's got to be something that I guess motivated you to come up with this idea that we need this, this service to buy with confidence. It's something. Is there something behind that that's driving this for you?
yeah, I hate seeing people get taken advantage of. It just bothers me. I saw it in the business, growing up my whole life. And then people coming to me after the fact when they're already in trouble and they bought this car that I can't believe somebody sold them. And so throughout helping people and seeing all the discrepancies in the business, I started to create this product that could help them step by step.
I had interviewed a couple years ago with a woman, and she actually works with dealers to improve their culture, right,
Yeah.
and to change it on the inside. And but when we got talking about what led her story of what got her there was very emotional. The pain that she went through
Yeah.
was just as a man I've never experienced, but what she shared was mind boggling.
Yeah.
And it's not just women. It's not
No.
just women. It's not just minorities there are dealers that will sell anything to someone, even if it's bad for that person to make that purchase, they will do it.
Yes,
They will do it.
absolutely.
And I think there's a big push in the industry to change that. It's like anything. There's rotten apples. There's always rotten apples. And
Right.
but it's great to see that you have a service that's, that's designed for this.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, we want to get behind this. That's why we're here. That's why we do the show. We want to help inform and educate buyers. We want to find
Yes.
buyers and owners and introduce them to these services. Lori, I have one more question for you, and then folks, we'll take a short break and we'll transition to our our auto marketing panel. I'm not seeing Ed up here yet, but hopefully he plans on making it. And for I think Dave is on the live chat. So Dave, you have the link to hop up here on the panel. We're going to start in a few minutes. Dave did have a question. He said, "Are you kind of like a personal shopper or an independent broker?" So we'll get into that in the panel since
Okay.
he's going to be here. Sierra on the live chat asks, do you have any tips for how to get started with the car buying process? I would answer that and say, go to TitleKeyCash and submit your info. That'd be a good start, right?
Yeah. But
So,
definitely my number one thing is budget. You have to have that first because that will depict what kind of car you're going to get, how many miles it's going to have. All of that depends on how much you can afford a month and
yeah.
the purchase price. So,
And I would just add the monthly amount isn't what you're buying. And
no,
dealers have figured out how to try to convince you that you're just agreeing to a monthly payment when you're not.
no.
That's the big trick in there.
And the transportation costs are just growing every year. So, insurance, gas, repairs, tolls, you got to figure that all into that monthly payment number, which people just think that they can spend X amount of dollars, but then they don't add in all that. And then that's on top.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. If you do a lot of toll driving, which I'm in the Chicago area, we do a ton of. Lori, I have one fun question for you related to your site and all that. You have a quote on your site by Ann Lap. It says, "Every time you spend money, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want." What does that mean to you?
It just means you should be aware of who you're giving your hard-earned money to. Make sure that they have earned your business, that they respect your place. And, every time you spend money somewhere, you're supporting that business or that culture.
It's a wonderful quote, and I think it's something we all need to take to heart. I know I, for one, and I talk about a little bit on the show, but I have become very keen on where my money's going. And there's companies that my money's going to, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like I can't, and I'm not going to get into that.
Mhm.
But yeah, we live in a world. I think that's a good point. Where your money's going is the kind of world you're making. So, well, great. Lori DePasquale, everybody from TitleKeyCash. She's going to stay with us. We're going to transition into our auto marketing pros panel discussion. But Lori, thanks so much for being here and
Thank you.
being here with us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's do this, folks. We're gonna I've got to bring something up. 1 second here. Ding ding ding. By the way, this is a recording session. I still try to create a good experience, but ultimately we're a recording session for podcast. We make podcasts, blogs, articles, all sorts of stuff. So we do try to have a good time up here and also create a good experience for everybody. So for those that are on the live feed, thank you for being here. Keep using the chat. I'll be looking at your comments throughout. We're about to get started on our Auto Pros discussion panel. So give me 1 second here. We're going to add Bill. And I see David is up here. Now there's 2 Davids that I was counting on. So is that David Long or
This
Dave
is
Dominant?
David Long.
That's David Long. Okay. Hello, David Long. Say hi to Bill. He's here too.
Hey,
What up?
everybody.
Can
Hey,
you
Bill.
see
Hey,
us, David?
Ryan. I can see you guys.
Okay, because
Hey,
you're in the
gal.
car, right?
What's
I
up,
am.
bud?
So
Everyone.
David Long's with you're with Hansel, right?
Correct.
Okay. I was really hoping I got that right because I knew Hansel was my name. So you're coming back from an event. Was it DMSC? Is that what you're coming back from?
No. So it was a virtual event with Brian Posh and his team, PCG, today.
Okay, so it wasn't DMSC. It was just a PCG event then. Okay. Now, does he know you call him Posh?
Well, I've called him a lot worse, for sure. And I'm driving over a bridge trying to unmic and unmute myself. So, but when I get to the other side of this bridge, I'll have better reception and be able to think clearly.
All right, we'll wait 30 seconds for you. So, Bill Anderson, is this your first time on the show? I know I've had you on some panels before.
I usually don't stay up this late.
I know this is rough for you. Where's your scotch?
You made me stop, and it's coming up as soon as the show's over. And it's not scotch, it's tequila.
You can drink on the show. You know, when we launched Refresh Friday.
Give me a minute, and I'll.
Yeah,
It's
go.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, just get one for everybody.
St. Patrick's Day.
Drinks on the house. Yeah, it is.
You want me to pour you one too?
I would love that. What I was going to say is, when we started Refresh Friday, we would it was a live stream we did for a blog, and but one of the themes was, as hosts, we always had a beer, and we would always tell our guests to bring a beer on, but it was in the middle of the day, so some people are like, I can't bring a drink onto the show, but evening shows we can.
And it's a holiday, so.
Right, it is a holiday. Dave, you cannot be drinking.
He's driving.
So let us know when you're ready to talk, Dave. We lost Bill. He's going to make some drinks. There he is.
Yeah.
What are we drinking today, Bill?
Some añejo.
Oh, you said tequila, not scotch.
Tequila.
Mañejo. That looks like a reposado.
Añejo.
Oh, it's añejo. You said that.
I did say
when you said añejo, I was thinking like brand name.
No. Type.
Well, you know your tequila.
It's called Addictivo.
Addictivo.
Yes.
Well, tequila is good for you in small amounts. So you got to listen to Lori and I talk. I'd love to get your initial reaction to what you heard.
I think it's great. I mean, there are a million people out there that need help, right? That don't understand, and the pitfalls and the ways you can get, I hate to say the word, screwed while buying and just even researching. Is daunting for a lot of people. I should probably start this myself, to be honest with you. I mean, I probably help about 40 or 50 friends and relatives buy cars every year.
Yeah.
They know what I do, and they usually come to me, and I do have a nice large group or audience that I can work with, including our friend David Long, who I would never hesitate. Lori, if you need somebody in Northern California, there is nobody I would trust more than the man that was just on the phone with us.
Good to know. Okay.
Truly one of the great people in our industry.
Yes.
And I do think the industry is changing, though. I mean, I guess, I've been doing this for 30 years now, right? And I've seen all the stories. I mean, every scary story I've actually seen live. The keys on the roof, right? The playing of a monthly budget, right? The 4-square game with this much, with this much, with this much, and with this much. And it was all a lease, you thought. I've actually had a friend that ended up coming back talking to me. He ended up he told me about this great, phenomenal deal, and I just didn't think it was possible. I had him pull out the paperwork. He thought he bought a car. He had leased a car. Right? It just things like that. I've seen all of that before. So
it's pretty overwhelming. Well, I want to take a moment to play a video that I know Bill will appreciate, talking about getting screwed. But this is on a different level that maybe Lori might even be able to relate to. Let's give this a quick watch. Wait, I gotta change my.
What I think it's going to be, Ryan.
It probably is going to be. I mean, yeah.
Did I give permission for this? Do I need to get permission?
I mean, it is publicly available online. So that means Ryan can do what he wants. Here we go.
All right, fine.
And then we'll get David's
kid,
reaction.
Coming to the auction is an event.
It's loud.
It's an experience.
Noisier than a Vegas casino.
Ah, yes. But instead of all that smoke, you get exhaust fumes.
Much like Vegas, it's just as easy to lose money.
And the girls here, all fake and liking the guys here too.
Used earbuds.
It's amazing how deafening it is in here, yet how easy it is to hear each other perfectly.
Speaking of Vegas, online gambling ruins real betting.
Oh, is this on the Highlander?
Yep, this is for the Highlander.
I'm going to steal this. Apparently nobody's paying attention.
How could they with so much going on?
Sometimes you should see a beauty like this and you just have to have it.
You know you're betting on the Chrysler 200 that just drove off, right?
Chrysler 200 sold.
Damn it!
He seemed happy about that.
You got to keep your eye on what you're bidding on. Get to the lane late, it'll cost you.
Never again.
I think this is the best line coming up.
I feel bad for him.
Don't. It's his fault for getting to the lane late and not keeping with the cars. It's his fault if he gets busted out.
But he asked if it was on the Highlander and you lied to him.
He'll get over it. He's my nephew.
You lied to family?
He's only a nephew. I was lying just for fun.
It seems like this place is designed to confuse people. Get you excited, make you anxious, hypnotize you with the noise and the food and the smells and the women.
Now you're getting it, just like good old Vegas. Now let's get out of here. My favorite part of the auction,
What's that?
the peace and quiet.
Next, we got a beautiful El Camino.
All right. Good stuff there. You never knew, Bill. I never knew. Let me get this shut
gonna
off here.
You gonna give me an Emmy for that one?
I'll definitely put a nomination in there. David, are you back with us? Are you good to talk? I see him. I don't see Ed though. You're back, David?
Yeah, you're coming in broken. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's probably because you're in commute. So I was gonna ask you to comment on the video. Have you seen any of the auction videos that Bill's starring in?
Man, I love that video. So true. I think the first time I made a buy like that, I bought the wrong car. I'm like, wait a minute, the one on the screen isn't the one I just bought. And oh my God, what a nightmare that is. Bill, that is a hilarious video. Well done.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could take credit, except for the acting creds. I'm going to give it all to our friend Joe Webb, who helped us put this whole thing together.
Oh,
So he did
a good job with that.
Yeah.
So does Joe know the auctions well enough to like come up with that theme, or did you and Tom really feed the theme of that particular one?
You know, we spend most of our time when we're picking on the auctions and describing an experience very similar to what Lori had, right? And that David just explained that he had. I mean, it's a mess. But I've been in this industry, like I said earlier, a long time. And I've seen the evolution and now the de-evolution of the auction platform and to everything online right now. And to be honest, it's still kind of the bane of our existence, right? It's a lot easier to click on a mouse to buy a car than it is to work with somebody to do it. So I give Lori a little credit here because what she's doing isn't, I think easy. It's going through each customer and finding a good fit. That's tough. It's not easy to do.
Oh, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
I work with dealers that need hundreds of cars, and just finding, a few to help them out is hard enough. Now doing that over and over for an individual consumer, a lot of credit.
Thank you. Yeah.
Lori, do you have any auction stories you could share that would, I guess,
Not
support
really.
the video?
It's always, every car I pick, it's always a bidding war with like Carvana and Drive Time and auto lenders. Like they're always on the same cars. So that's my only issue is that it's just they drive up the price so high that most of the time I have to walk away because it's just doesn't make any sense.
I think you're kind of being caught in the middle of a lot bigger players right now, right? Because you just mentioned a son and a father as your top two of the three that are causing you issues.
Yeah.
Right? Drive Time and Carvana are owned by the same family. One's trying to serve the credit customer, the guy that doesn't have the perfect credit. So only a specific type of car will work if he's got to sell that loan to a bank. And the other right now, I feel, is trying to corner the market for some reason. He's buying cars right now, and in my opinion, artificially driving prices up so that he can get the rest of them and make it impossible for the other dealers to get them unless they come back to him. Right? And he's even started a wholesale process within Carvana so that you'll buy the cars that he got instead of you at the auction or from a private party, which is what I do. And drive up those costs artificially high so that they can kind of almost scare a few people out of the market, I feel. I mean, he's just buying everything right now. I even talked to a CarMax buyer, a regional CarMax buyer here in the Midwest who said that right now Carvana is they're paying retail for everything themselves to even mark up the prices higher. So how would you ever be able to, in your case, send a customer to a Carvana?
Right.
Their average, they might have the most cars, but their average price is higher than everybody else's. Same with CarMax. These big companies are trying to corner a market on something that's not an absolute. There's every used car is just a little bit different, right? Yeah. And to me, there's something bigger than I think any of us in this room are thinking.
Well, it's called disruption.
Yeah.
And there's folks, I'll drop Paul Daly's name. I think I've heard him say this. It's like when there's a weakness and a vulnerability in an industry, you're basically have an open door for disruption.
Right.
And we're seeing that. Lori, you're feeling it. Bill Van happens to be in just the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
You really are. And Lori, you're in a good spot too. You can't, your goal isn't to compete with the big players. You're going to be able to fill a niche that they can't fill. And that's that personal touch. Right. Before we run out of time and lose David, I just lost David. I just lost him. I wanted him to chime in on the PCG. If he comes back, we'll ask him to. But there are some questions coming in from the live chat. Lori, one's for you. Okay, good. David's back. I'll give him a second. Lori, the question from Dave on the live chat. David Long, you're back with us, right? I was just turning to you for your input, but we have a question for Lori, and then we're going to come back to you. The question for Lori was, how do you recon auction cars for your customers? Do you do that?
What do you mean?
To recondition them once they come out of the auction, or you just sell them as is?
We go through them. We have a mechanic shop, so we make sure everything's 100%. And then they come to our facility and pick it up.
Okay, so you have
100% trust.
Yeah. So
I buy the car, it's theirs, because I don't buy them I don't have a car lot, I don't have anything like that. So I have to be sure that they're all in, the car's 100%, and then, they come and pick it up. I mean, if it's not, then the auction, there is, a way that they have to buy it back.
Okay. So I think we got that question answered. And David Long, you're with us, right?
I am.
Okay, good. I know you kind of, hopefully this lasts. So you're coming back from a PCG event. Was it related to used cars? Was that while you were there? Or was it something different?
We did talk a little bit about used cars, but it was more just operational topics. It was a full day event, so it was a really
Wow.
good event.
Okay. All on Zoom?
All on Zoom. Well, it was a different platform, but yeah, basically.
Same
And Paul J.
idea.
Daly was one of the moderators, so I'm glad to hear you mentioned his name. He did a
Okay.
great job.
Yeah, I've seen them. They've kind of buddied up a little bit over the past couple of years. So, in regards to used cars, any takeaways that you could share?
Well, I was actually going to speak to Bill's comment about the auction. Somehow I lost signal there. Can I go there for a second?
Yeah.
Here's my auction experience. So I'll never forget it. It was a defining moment in my 35-year career. I was standing in an auction, hand up, looking around, and you know how you get those moments of clarity, like everything just stops and you get crystal clear. Well, this happened for me. I looked to the guy to the left, and I looked to the person over to the right, and I just started identifying the fact that the people that I'm competing against don't really have a lot of skin in the game, right? They don't care that much. I could see people that just maybe wouldn't even be employed by the dealer by the time that car got through recon, and that was the person I was competing against. And I thought to myself, how can you win a fight with somebody who doesn't care if they die, right? Like, so that I went back to the dealership. I'll never forget it. It was DGDG. I was the used vehicle director, and I started searching, and that's when I bumped into Van. And that's when, Vehicle Acquisition Network helped me find a different way. And from that moment on, I really can't stomach being, and now don't get me wrong, we still buy cars from auction, but that cannot be one of the major sources of my used car acquisition. But it's just not competing with the people that don't care is not in my particular business model. And when we buy from a private party or we get from the service drive or we pay a little extra for a trade, it is such a better outcome long term. And for those of you that know me, I measure everything. It is remarkable difference between the return on investment on a service drive, a trade-in, and more specifically a private party purchase than any other acquisition source I could possibly get. So that was my auction story and my defining moment in the used car space.
And there's always a story behind why we are where we are. So I appreciate you sharing that. There is a question coming in from Anthony on the live chat about car buying, the future of car buying, which I want to address. I'd like to ask Lori, though, now that you're listening to Bill and David talk about different alternative ways to source cars, what's going through your mind? Are you sensing maybe some new possibilities there that maybe you weren't thinking about?
Not particularly. It's just so hard to find vehicles for my customers who know that I can sell them wholesale. It's just, I have such a limited market that, especially now, it's just so hard for me to find them the right deal at dealerships, especially if they don't get their own lending, it gets sloppy. And so I don't know what else I would do other than a wholesale perspective.
Well,
I think wholesale is a matter of perspective, guys.
Well, isn't buying from a individual wholesale? I consider it wholesale.
Yeah, if you're going to then turn around and resell it, it's a wholesale, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to buy at, auction prices to resell to a friend, I've done that a few times, but boy, I don't want to do it again. That's for sure. I'll give Lori credit. It's a lot of work for usually a very little return on investment, and hopefully you're getting some love out of those customers that you're taking.
Yeah, that's the thing. You get repeat business, referrals, but then again, I'm only one person and there's only so many cars. So
it's hard to scale one person.
Yeah.
It's for sure.
Well, that's the key to entrepreneurialism, right? Is scaling that out. Let's kind of roll into the theme of the future of car buying. That's what I titled this. So we've got people coming in. Now, I had titled it that way for two reasons. And if you know me, I like to always have multiple reasons why something makes sense. But part of it was the whole Bitcoin concept. Tesla recently purchased $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. And Elon has announced that they're looking forward to when they'll be able to let people purchase their vehicles with Bitcoin. David, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the idea, and maybe even speculate on what that looks like for us in the near to mid future. Do you have an opinion on that?
My opinion is he's brilliant. Like, makes me want to go out and buy Bitcoin. Anybody that can pull off what he pulled off in a way that he pulled it off, he's the richest man on planet Earth, and success leaves clues, right? So there's a lot of value in my mind to being open-minded to what's going on and the changing landscape that we're feeling, right? There's a major shift. A lot of people want to go back to their old cheese station A and say, nothing going on here. Meanwhile, the whole world is changing around them, right? So I'd be absolutely head in the sand if I didn't pull up my head and say, there's gotta be some things that my reticular activating system, my mind just won't let me see yet. But if I continue to trudge the road, eventually it will become clear to me. So that's really all I have to say about that is, right, the landscape's changing so quickly. What I thought I knew, I don't know anymore, which is exciting for me.
It's good to be learning as you get up in the years, huh? No, I say that. I tell people, I said, one of my favorite things about my work that I do is I'm always learning, just constantly learning. Wow. I had a friend in the business a few years ago, and he said he was getting bored with the auto industry because it's like the same old thing over and over. And I was like, well, yeah, if all you do is talk about ups and BDCs, but there's a lot of exciting stuff going on, and here we are. I guess, David, my question to you is, does that not make you run to the boardroom and go and say to your stakeholders at the dealer group, hey guys, do we need to start thinking about Bitcoin purchases?
No.
It's too soon.
I'm not going to be the guy that runs and says we have to do subscription because everybody's doing subscription. We have to. I mean, slow and steady wins the race. Being open-minded to the changing landscape, being willing to integrate where integration is possible, and the minds are open enough to consume it. I mean, in my mind, that's where we are. You can't innovate past your point of competency or past the point of your company's competency. So, like, they'd think I had 3 heads if I went running into the boardroom and started screaming that stuff, right? Timing and culture have a lot to do with how you integrate change. So that's my opinion on that from my position.
Well, why don't we all take a mental note and see how long it takes for Carvana to come out and start accepting Bitcoin for their purchases. It could be within the next year. It could be a lot longer, but it's going to, my speculation is we will see it. On the live chat, we have Motorworks saying he's got a funny stat. The average dealer is paying over 100% MMR. We market our inventory below 97% to the public, regardless of what we own a car for. Wow. And we still get told we are asking too much. Can you break that down for us, Bill?
Wow. So the idea is, I'm guessing he's talking about the autometric cost to market, 100% putting you towards the basically, if consumers are looking at price as their key indicator on their search, they're looking for a specific model. The best priced one is your 100% car, right? 102 is a little bit less than that, 103, 104, those are all a little priced higher. This guy's telling me he's basically going to wholesale for all of his cars, right? And still being told he's too expensive.
Can I weigh in on that when you're done, Bill?
Go for it, please.
Well, so being a V Auto dealer, our average transaction is about 96%. If I took the last 6 months of sales, they left my inventory in that 95, 96% range. What I'm doing is balancing my days to sale to the to the price to market. So what I would say to that dealer that asked that question, made that comment, I totally understand. And if other dealers are paying 100% and we are on average retailing our inventory for 97%, then we have to just use the data, which will set the customer's mind free, right? Meaning, if other dealers are selling that very same car with the same market and with the same miles for that, then we just have to show the data to help justify our position to the market. Because I can assure you that if they're paying 100%, they're not selling them at 97%. They're just not long-term play anyway.
Yeah. Is MMR even an accurate number anymore, right? How quickly is Manheim Market Reports adjusting their percentages to guide anybody anymore? I think there's a lag in how that book picks up. Right now, we're in a space where if you're trying to buy a car at auction, and Lori mentioned it earlier, she can't do it because the costs are going for retail and above. So she's letting cars go. Right? And MMR is the number that almost everybody that goes to an auction is asking for. Us on Van, they're begging us to include an MMR number with a vehicle. And it's just, I don't know if it's reality anymore, guys. It's MMR is not what people are deciding. And really, in Lori's case, my case, David's case, everybody, what's a number is just a state of mind. It's a perspective. If you're, Lori buys a car and I buy the exact same car, I don't know if that's possible anymore, either in the new or used car market, and I paid $1,000 more, she's unhappy, but I'm happy. Did I get a good deal? Yeah, my mind, I'm okay. So, and here first, the other thing is dealers are allowed to make money. It's a business. Lori makes money. I make money. Ryan, you make money. Dave stores most of the time make money. Businesses are supposed to make money to be in business, to keep their doors open so that they can take care of those customers. So let's, I see it from a dealer's perspective a little bit more, I think. I empathize with the dealer. Here, for me to buy a $20,000 vehicle, the average profit, both in financing and the front end, is what, under $2,000 right now? That's under 10%. Lori, is your fee less than 10% of those cars? You don't answer that. I'm just asking the point. Is it fair to make that? Now, there's overhead on that. That's the gross. Now I had to pay for rent. The lights on those lots are gorgeous, but they need them because the insurance company wants them, so they're not getting ripped off at night. So for the most part, I don't see things the exact same way here. I'm on the dealer's side. I think Lori's probably I think we're all on the dealer's side. It's fair. I mean, what does a plumber make per hour when he comes to change your pipes? 150 an hour? I promise you, if you break it down, what the dealer is making on a per hour rate, it's way less than a plumber. Is he any more or less valuable? I could argue that point as well. This is only what's fair, guys. Now, there are some there was, I think, and there's a lot less these days of not so good people in any industry, not just the car business. We just get pointed out because everybody has one. I completely disagree with the premise that dealers aren't good people. Most of the guys I know, the David Longs, I'd let my daughter date. I promise you this. And I'm pretty picky on who my daughter gets to date.
There you go, David. Door's open.
David's married to a beautiful woman with 3 gorgeous kids, so he's not looking. But I mean, I empathize with the dealer. The Motorworks guy, I agree with.
I get customers too, and they want to spend $12,000, and I'm working, looking, finding, and then a week later they go to the dealer and buy it for 16.
Right.
The same car. And I'm like, well, why would you do that? But
Well, there's no such thing as the exact same car in the used
Right.
car industry, right?
But it's like, if you just told me you wanted to spend 16, we would have been done.
It would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
You're getting tried on, and that's a waste of your time. I mean, I hope they paid the fee anyway.
No, I'm like a real estate agent.
So that's tough. That's a real tough business, guys. And like I said, I'm empathizing with what the dealer has to deal with. His overhead, the amount of margin a dealer keeps. David, what is it? Less than 2% nationally on a new car franchise dealer?
Nationally, yes.
Right.
Let me ask.
Much better than that.
Tell me what other industry that works in.
Let me ask the group here on that note. What do you think the biggest factor or two are affecting these margins? I know it's a combination of things.
What you guys are saying right now, we have no real cell service where I am. I apologize. I hope you can hear me. I'm just going to try to listen in.
Okay.
I just think it's consumer awareness. They think they have, they're out there, they're on the computer, they know everything, and sometimes there's just no dealing with them.
No.
Certain people.
No, they're their own worst enemy in a lot of cases. They're uneducated. They didn't educate themselves. They just believe they can walk into a dealership and bully people around and get a price. That's just not the way it works. You want them to lose money to do something? Do you, Mr. Consumer, do whatever you do for a living as a dentist? Do you do that for a loss of money every time you do it? Does a doctor? Does the plumber? Does your cleaning lady? Does my gardener? No. They all get paid. And they should.
They should. And I think the general consumer consumers understand businesses have to make money. And I don't think it's a secret. The percentage of buyers that are just in it for price is a small percentage. It's like 10 to 12% of buyers are just in it for the price.
No, but that's one of the key indicators that'll drive them to a location.
Well, I'm saying if they're just a price buyer, then you as a dealer have to decide, are we going after the 10%? That's who Carvana might be going after, the price buyer.
I disagree.
But I'm saying people understand that dealers need to make money. So I don't think that's an issue. But look at Sierra's comment here. It's helpful to have someone help you through the process. If I'm at a dealership buying a car from a dealer and they're very helpful, right? There is a level of I still can't trust you because you're benefiting from this deal. Whereas I think someone like Lori, she's getting paid fairly, but whether you buy from this dealer or that dealer, I guess you're bringing them in from the auction anyway.
Right. But my other program, which is, to help the consumer, it's for the people who say, I don't know where to start. I don't know what I should be spending. Is this a good rate? Should I be, there's just so many unanswered questions. That's why I built the course, so that they can answer all those questions for themselves. And then this way, when they go to a dealership, they already know, they have all their information in front of them. Nobody else can tell them anything. You know what your budget is. You just have to get a car within your budget.
That's fair. And you do I guess you do, but is this Sierra Smith? It is helpful to have someone help you through the process, but what's the salesman doing? Is he taking advantage? Then you have the wrong salesperson. I know plenty of sales guys that are helping you through a process that will say, no, ma'am, I understand that you probably want a minivan, but this SUV sounds like more based on the questions, the way you answered them might make more sense, right? And I think most car dealerships today are trying to help you through that process.
And that's an arbitrary statement. I would say it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, the last 3 cars I've purchased, two of them I walked away from because the deal they put in front of me was bullshit. They were ripping me off right under my nose. And luckily I was able to look at the fine print. Now, another one of them I did end up buying, and I won't even get into that, but that was a weird deal. But dealers will take advantage of you. Not all, and there's a big push to change that, but there's still the rotten apples out there. They're still out there.
I mean, I even go undercover sometimes just to see what they'll actually
Secret
put out.
shoppers, huh?
Yeah. So I'll go like I'm a shopper, and it's just, it's upsetting.
Yeah. So you're an advocate of the consumer paying more and feeling better about going to Carvana and CarMax, who's going to be a one price dealer. You're no negotiation. It's this car, this price, because everybody is going there. They're paying more.
Oh, I know.
They're paying more for lesser of a car with lesser of a warranty.
Yes.
Right. So, but I think I'm getting a lot of mixed messages here, guys, that I don't quite understand. You're trying to tell me that dealers are good, but they're not good. I think that, like I said,
it's a mixed bag. It's just a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag, but it's in every industry.
David Long is the exception.
I don't even like this conversation because of what it is. David Long, who runs a dealer, runs actually, what is it, 3, David, something like that, out of a 13 dealer group, I believe. I could trust nobody. I wouldn't even do the research.
That's okay. That's.
But David, you could probably test this. Can Bill trust every sales rep and every finance director in all of your stores? Do they all share your values?
Yeah, for sure. Go without question. They all met the sniff test. So I think there's certain people out there that believe that dealers are underhanded and shifty. I think that's a perception that was earned in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
80s.
I got to tell you, most of the dealers that I know, 80s, most of the dealers I know, like they are, and I think I heard Bill say I could date his daughter. If I wasn't married, I'd probably give him up on that. But like these people that I know that are in the car vertical are incredible human beings. They give back to the community. They volunteer. If a deal is less than ethical, they unwind the deal and give the customer their money back. I mean, I don't know where and why that perception continues to perpetuate, other than for the fact that, and by the way, the 4 or 5 customers in my history that have come to me and said, "You ripped me off." They usually bought the car for $3,000 less than invoice, but felt like they got taken advantage of because they had that chip on their shoulder anyway. I've actually never had a customer come to me and say that I ripped them off, or that somebody they knew ripped them off, that I wasn't able to unearth the deal and see that they actually got a really good deal, but the perception was they got taken advantage of. So I really don't buy that dealers are treacherous and you got to watch them and they're going to get you. I mean, for God's sake, just use your smartphone, figure out what cost is, make an offer. If they accept it, buy the car. If they don't. And then you don't have to worry about getting ripped off ever. That's my strong opinion.
I'm just speaking from the consumer side. That's who I deal with. That's who who's giving me all the feedback. So, I mean, I know tons of dealers too who are great, but I'm just telling you from a consumer standpoint, they're just not comfortable. They don't understand the process. It's a lot. It's a huge transaction.
And I think you're hitting it on the head. Shifty, shady dealers is one thing. And yes, it's probably a thing of the past. And moving forward,
a much smaller percentage.
Yeah, the industry's cleaning up. There's no doubt. There's a lot of push for that. There's always going to be bad apples, but there's still a lot of education involved in the process. It's still it's a very complicated process. And while yes, a sales rep or an F&I director is going to help answer your questions, they are also they're also the ones that are conducting the transaction. So I do think having a third party or an outside source to help with the educational process in a non-biased way, I would imagine there's a demand for that. I see buyers clubs everywhere. I mean, every day I'm finding new buyers clubs. I started to keep a list of them.
It's because somebody else thinks that there's money and room that they can make, and it's no additional cost to them.
Yeah.
Right?
And I do think Carvana is swooping up a lot of that market.
I
I do think they are.
I think
For
they are.
reasons.
Can I say
promise you
something that's? Can I say? I'll
please.
say something that's super unpopular, and I probably won't win any brownie points for this, but I think and I don't know what anybody here necessarily does. Like, is it Laura? Is that your name?
Lori,
Lori.
close.
But anyway,
Right.
so buy services. I think those are. If I were going, I think it. To me, if that's what we're talking about, I think it's like timeshare, right? Like, it's all we have to do is go online. All the information's readily available. And I'm not the brightest guy, but I will tell you that the information's out there. And if I'm making a large purchase, I can Google, I can ask a couple questions, and I can have everything I need at my fingertips to not get taken advantage of without having to pay somebody to walk me through what is basically a pretty simple process if you find the right company to do business with. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And I agree with the note earlier that you had up from I think it was Motorworks again, right?
This
Top
one?
reasons. Yeah.
Right there.
Location because it's ease of use. Selection because they have what you want. Trust or reputation, number 3, and probably in my personal opinion, number 1, because I know thousands of dealers, right? Trust for sure. Price number 2, especially on new because it's apples to apples. Now used, I'm trying to get you to understand that a car with 30,000 miles and a ding is completely different than a car with 35 and absolutely flawless, like it's still new. It was washed every other day and carpet cleaned, right? There's just differences. And again, like I said, it's perspective, it's perception. It is an old perception that it's hard to die. It's bad news travels so much faster than good news, in my opinion anyway. Right? That I happen to know these people, and I'll give a plug right now. I happen to know the people at Motorworks and their marketing company. Great people to do business with. Does their BMW Porsche store deserve to make money on each car? Absolutely. Right? It's only fair, guys. Now, is one price a better model? If you did that, I think 80% of the people would opt out.
80% of people in the business?
That's right. It doesn't matter. They'd probably make more money. There's something to be said that you're trying to, when you're trying to serve everyone, you almost can serve no one. Pick a lane, do the best you can, have a great reputation and move forward. Keep that reputation. But here, look it up. Any dealer you want to work with these days, I guess there's a little gaming going on with reputation management too. But almost every dealer I look at, when I'm about to present my products to a dealer, I do a little research on that dealer beforehand. I did 3 presentations today. One had a 4.8 Google review with over 1,000 reviews. Now, do they have 1 or 2 maybe bad apples or not so great salespeople because they had to fill a hole because they're short on staff? Maybe. But for the most part, that tells me that's a really good company to work with. How else do you choose? When it comes to the price of my trade, as you know, Ryan, that's my big deal, right? What's the value of the vehicle? That's where you get hit most of the time. Financing, call your bank before you go to the dealership. The dealership almost always will beat your bank by 0.5 point. That's going to save you money. You now know your trade by just going on to KBB. It takes you less than a minute to log into kbb.com, look the vehicle up, get the private party number, and go to the dealership. Now you have everything you need. You have your finance rate. Look at their internet price. Keep that, print it, bring it with you. You have a KBB price, and now you have a bank starter point. Here it is, Mr. Dealer, beat it. They usually will.
They will, because they want to move the unit for sure.
Exactly.
They want to move that unit.
Not one dealer that's in this business long-term is in it for each single deal. They're looking at a much bigger picture. And yeah, there's a little bit to be said about waiting till the end of the month. When that dealer hasn't hit that stair step, which is the only kind of gamesmanship left, when they haven't hit that stair step, they'll lose $1,000 just to get back the $50,000 because it's a retro $500 bonus for the first 100 cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about the best advice I'd give anybody on new. Used is a lot different, though, as we all know, and that's why I'm in that game, why David likes to play on that side, and it sounds like Lori does mostly used too.
Yeah.
That's the one unique identifier, right?
Folks, we're out of time. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to cut the conversation short because we were going somewhere. Normally we'd done at the top of the hour, but this was good. So David, I see you're still with us, but thanks for dialing in. I know it was a little inconvenient for you, but thank you for dialing in and chiming in.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. It was nice to be with you all. I appreciate your time.
David, we'll talk soon. Lori, really nice to meet you.
You guys, thanks so much.
You already get a haircut, would you?
I did.
You put a hat on.
Hey, man, it's St. Patty's Day. What can you say?
Fair enough. See, I got a little bit of green with my logo here.
It's barely. I almost had mine on, but I went with this.
My logo. There you go.
All right, come on over. Let's do some tequila.
All right, I'm on my way.
Bye, Bill.
See you guys.
Bill Anderson, everybody. David Long for our Auto Pros discussion. And then, Lori, if you want to say goodbye to everybody, we'll go ahead and let you go. I didn't mean to keep you this long, but thanks for toughing it out and being here.
It was very good. Interesting.
All right. We'll come back up in a few months. We'll have you again and get an update from you. So,
all right.
Have a great evening, Lori.
You too. Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right, folks. So that was Lori DePasquale from TitleKeyCash.com. It's basically a girl's guide to crazy, confident car buying. I am Ryan Girardi. You are tuned in to the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. Thank you for those that were on the live chat. That was Dave from Motorworks. I saw Adam Thrasher up there. Sierra, thank you for your comments as well. Appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And oh my God, look at my face there. I'm like blocking my face off because I keep going the wrong way. I got to change this up. All right, learning here. Be sure to text the keyword AutoConverse to 64600. Have this show sent to your phone via text message. We do the show every other week from 7 to 8 Central. That's a temporary time starting. Actually, we're going to do that through the month of May. We are starting our 2-minute drill down debate series on the next show in 2 weeks. I got Joe Webb coming back, so we'll be doing that. And then we'll keep the same time for the month of April. But starting in May, we'll go back to our daytime slot. Going to bypass the news this time around. I did have a nice, fun video to play for us. So let me go and grab that. Give me 1 second here. This is pretty cool. And then we will finish off the show with the AI Mayflower. It will make groundbreaking, crewless crossing of the Atlantic. Let me make this bigger for you. Here you go. All right, there we go. Think about this. You're going to go across a ship 3,000 miles across the Atlantic with no captain driving that ship. Think about that. Think about that. Let's see if we got a video here. And boom, check this out. That little boat is going to take you across the Atlantic, fully autonomous. Yeah, it's pretty loud there. So I don't know about you. I'd be tough to get on a boat, on any boat going across the Atlantic, let alone a little zinger like that with I don't know. Pretty interesting. That's the AI Mayflower, everybody. The AI Mayflower. All right, that's it for today. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back next in 2 weeks. Sorry about that. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh, I know what I do. You know, this happens when you get on full screen. Yeah. Hold on. I got to find it. There we go. Lost my screen. Turn that off. All right. We're good to go. So yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks with our 2-minute drill down. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great rest of the week and a great remainder of your evening. Take care, everybody.